Alright, it's off to the next project. Remington R51, a pancake style, a line pancake holster with basket weave stamping in brown. Now, when I'm making a pattern, one of the first things I usually do is go through my file of patterns and see if I can find something similar to what I'm looking for. And I just start pulling stuff out. Actually, let's see. That's for a Smith & Wesson 5906. That's a pattern. And that's the finished product. So that's how it starts. That's how it ends up. But I'll just go through here and, you know, I'll look at the 5906. Okay, now, how does that look? That's a bit big. So I want something smaller. Hey, wait a minute, what about a Glock 43? That's a smaller gun. That looks like it'll fit pretty good. Now if I was just making a regular pancake style holster, I'd be pretty much sussed. I'd have to, well, not much, change the stitch line a little bit. But that'd pretty much be it. But this is just going to be the starting point. And, well, going through here, got a Glock 19. Let's see how that looks. Ah, that's too big. That's for a revolver. And what else do I have in here? That's a revolver. That's for a 4-inch 1911. That came out to be a nice holster. I might just have to make another one for a 5-inch 1911 and just put it up for sale because it's a nice looking holster. Let's see, 2.5-inch K-frame. Let me dig through and see what I can show you. Okay, this one. This is actually one of my favorites. This is a 4-inch K-frame, and the finished holster came out like this. So it just starts as a regular old plain piece of paper that's kind of holster shaped, and after it's done, and I think that came out really nice. But you get the idea. All these are different patterns I had to make, and these are just for the revolvers. Well, for the guns. You know, down here I got big long 7-inch 686, a 6-inch 686, and a 2.5-inch 686 pancake style holster. But you know, I saved my patterns, even though a lot of my holsters, well, actually most all of them are one-off. I may not use the pattern exactly as it is. In fact, frequently I don't. But it gives me a starting point. On this side I have like knife sheaths, like the little pouch. If you look back to my videos, I made a little leather pouch. In fact, see, that's it right here. That's the pattern for it. This one is a combination knife sheath holster, cell phone pouch. So that's for a really big knife sheath. But I save them because sometimes I could reuse them. All kind of stuff. Now let me go ahead and put this away. So generally what I'll do is I'll take my staple puller take this, trace it on here, and then go from there, and we'll see where I end up. Now, just for the heck of it, I went ahead and I got my Glock 43 dummy gun out just to see how close these two were. And actually, they're pretty darn close in size. Yeah, they're shaped a bit different. The styling of them is a bit different. But if you look, like, see if I can line these up. Lengthwise, that's pretty close. Widthwise is pretty close. Now when I say lengthwise, I just go from the front of the trigger guard to the front of the trigger guard. The R51 is a little bit longer, and let's see, about the same width, but the Glock is a little bit, in this dimension, is a little bit taller than the R51. But other than that, they're pretty similar in size. Now when I made the Glock holster, I made it so the muzzle is back a little ways. I might have to extend that a little bit, but I can do that with the stitch line, so that's not a big deal. Well, I'm going to go ahead, trace this on here with pencil, because I'll be doing a lot of drawing, erasing, and going back and forth. They want this, this person wants this to be a 2-position holster as well. So it can be worn forward cant on the strong side and back cant for the for a cross draw. So either way, so I'm going to have to change the shape of this to have a belt slot here and another one down here, but this will be pretty much the same. It'll just have the one belt slot. So that's the beginning of that, and we'll see what I end up with. Oh, another thing I have to keep into consideration, actually I don't, because this holster was 9 ounce, and the holster for this one is going to be lined. But to line it, I'm just going to take 2 layers of 5 ounce per side. So it'll have about the same thickness of leather, but it'll be smooth on both sides, and it's going to have the basket weave stamping on it. It's going to be a really nice holster. Dyed brown. I'll probably use beige thread on it because I think the beige thread goes well with my brown dye. Well, like I said, we'll be back when I get a little further along. Okay, while my wife serenades us, I'm going to show you what I've been doing. I took my Glock 43 pattern and I traced it onto another piece of paper. I don't know how well you can see that, but I've already made a couple of changes to it. If I put this over top of it, I changed this up here, there, to make it so the belt slot sits a little bit lower, because when I forward cant it, it's going to sit higher. And as you can see, I got the belt slots there. And one thing that I do know that I have, well, learned is the belt slots don't have to be parallel. It's just on a regular pancake style holster, that's the way I make them. Because there's a lot of room to move your belt back and forth in there. I got dust on my holster. So knowing that, I know that this belt slot can go in either direction. It can go either that way or that way for my 1.5-inch belt. And one thing I recommend if you do make your own pattern, first of all, get yourself one of these things, because it has all the grid lines laid out on it, and it comes in really handy when you're trying to figure out how to get the cant just right. What I do is I take a straight edge and I put it at the top of the where the belt slots are going to be, so it overhangs slightly. Then I take another straight edge and put it along the straight stitch line, and from that I can compare it to the grids on my mat. Like for the for the backward cant or the reverse cant, I can set it there and line it up with this line on my grid, and then take this one and line it up with a line going this way, and I can see that it's going to have a rear cant of about 1 inch, and that is just about where I want it. That'll get the gun sitting at an angle where it'll be easily accessible in a cross draw situation without having it too far so it pokes out and is more difficult to conceal. Also, if I take it and I put it the other way, so it's in the forward cant position, move this up a little, I can see that it's about 1.5 inches of forward cant, and that's enough to tuck the butt of the gun in on the strong side. So that basically has my configuration of how I want the holster to fit. One thing I recommend, if you make your own holsters, is get one of these things. It's very handy for making all the curves and stuff. And I can just take it and bring it around here and kind of make up that curve. Now I'll probably change it a few times before I'm really happy with it. What I'll usually do is I'll drop a pattern and then I'll put it under the mat, leave it overnight, sleep on it, come back the next day and take a look at it and think, what the hell was I thinking? And start all over again. But like I said, get yourself one of these things, and instead of trying to freestyle or do that curve freehand, just like that. And you got your 2 slots on that side, 1 slot on that side. You got your stitch line where it's going to fit, and the gun will sit in nice and deep. And I don't believe it needs to be asymmetrical, because you have just a little bit of the end of the slide sticking out the bottom, or the top rather. And you still have lots of room over here to get yourself a good grip. I'm planning on making it out of 2 layers of 5-ounce glued rough side together. That'll give it a smooth finish on both sides, and it'll be the equivalent of a 9 to 10 ounce leather. So that's going to be plenty thick, plenty strong. So the leather, the holster itself, is going to come out to be about like this one. And this is made out of 9 ounce leather, so that's plenty strong. Or this little holster, same thing. That's 9 ounce leather, and it'll be good and strong. And I'm going to use my brown color on it, and I'm thinking it would look good with some black thread. I was kind of trying to decide black thread or beige thread. A lot of times I'll use beige thread, but I don't know, I'm thinking black thread would look good. Well, like I said, I'm going to let this sit overnight, pull it out, take a look at it, and maybe by then it'll be completely different. We're going to find out what I end up with when I start cutting leather. See you then.